Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Helena and today's video is all about stretching out the back. So we're going to start off today on all fours, taking hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. We're just going to begin by taking a few cat-cows to warm up the spine. Either curling the toes under or leaving them untucked, completely up to you. As we inhale, lifting with the top of the head towards the ceiling. And as we exhale, taking the gaze to the navel, rounding the back. Inhaling once more, lifting the crown of the head. Exhaling, arching the back, gaze towards the belly button. Taking 3 or 4 more of these in your own time. With each one seeing if we can get a little bit deeper. But if we feel any pain coming out of the pose. Really engaging with the belly button, drawing it in towards the spine. And seeing if as well we can take the shoulders away from the ears. They always tend to want to crunch around. When we're ready, coming back to a neutral spine and taking the arms out in front of us, coming into puppy dog pose, lifting the hips towards the ceiling. Feeling a really good stretch here into the armpits, possibly also into the upper back. Maybe taking the chin to the ground, maybe the forehead. Resting here for a few moments. If this is quite easy for you, you might want to draw the fingertips a little further forward or draw the armpits towards the ground. On the next inhale, rocking the body back up to all fours. And then slowly, as we engage the elbows in towards the body, dropping the chin and the chest towards the ground, coming into lying. Taking the forearms out in front of us, setting up for Sphinx Pose. So here, really pushing the forearms and the hands into the ground as we lift up with the chest. And this might be enough for you today. If it's not quite enough, you're not really feeling anything here, we're going to instead be pushing the fingers into the ground, drawing up with the chest, taking the shoulders away from the ears. And then maybe one by one, crawling the hands in towards the body. A bit like an upward facing dog, but instead of the thighs being off the ground, they're kept steady onto the ground. But being careful here that we're not having too much compression in the lower back. And being careful also that we don't take the head from side to side. Taking one more inhale here. As we exhale, dropping the body one by one, vertebrae at a time towards the ground. Taking the hands in towards the body, lifting back up onto all fours. As we inhale, taking the right hand to the center of the mat, drawing up with the left fingertips towards the ceiling. And as we exhale, using the abdominals, taking the left arm underneath the right, and perhaps crawling forward with the right fingertips. Getting a good stretch in the top of the back and the shoulders. Taking a couple more deep breaths here. Possibly pushing the tops of the feet into the ground, taking the gaze out to that left hand. On the next inhale, gently unraveling the arm, taking it back up to the ceiling once more, this time feeling a good stretch in the side of the body. And as we exhale, dropping that hand onto the ground, maybe taking the hips for a little bit of a shake from side to side before we come onto the opposite side. On the next inhale, lifting the right fingertips towards the ceiling, taking the gaze with it. And as we exhale, threading that right shoulder to the ground, possibly taking those left fingertips forward and taking the gaze out to that right hand, giving you a couple of options here. Feeling a good stretch around the upper back and the shoulders. Maybe pushing that left armpit towards the ground. And then gently unraveling the body, taking the right fingertips back up to the ceiling once more, engaging with the abdominals, feeling a stretch in the side body. Taking the hands to the ground, coming into your child's pose. So either taking knees together or apart, taking the arms out in front of you and feeling a good stretch in the top of the back here. If you've got a friend or someone around, maybe ask them to put a little bit of pressure on your lower back. Just pushing their hands in there, it can feel really good. And then gently taking the hands out to the right side, possibly taking the left hand over the right, feeling a good stretch in the top back and into the left side of the body. Taking one final round of breath here. Slowly moving the hands back through center and coming onto the opposite side, the left side. Perhaps crawling the right hand over the left, feeling a good stretch in the right side of the body. It doesn't matter how deep you go here. Instead, it's more about feeling that stretch, feeling the stretch in the armpit, up the top of the back, Gently moving the hands back through center, coming back through all fours, and this time coming onto the knees. We can either curl the toes under or leave them untucked here. We're going to take a gentle back bend as we place the hands onto the lower back. Really pushing in with the hands into the back to support the spine and taking the gaze up ahead. Drawing the elbows behind you, relaxing with the shoulders. Taking a couple more rounds of breath here. You should be feeling a stretch all up the spine here. And if you're not quite feeling it enough, maybe taking the gaze a little bit further behind. On the next inhale, drawing the body back upright. Taking the hips from side to side for a moment before we either come onto a second round of what we've just done, or we're going to take it a little bit deeper into our full camel pose. So if it's not quite enough for you, we're going to take the hands to the feet one by one, making sure the toes are curled under for this. Taking the gaze up ahead of you to start with, and then gently taking the gaze behind you. If this is too much or you just want to stay with the first variation, please do so. With each inhale, seeing if we can lift the hips up, and with each exhale, taking the gaze a little bit further around. Using the toes to keep the body steady, applying equal pressure with the knees and the toes into the ground. Taking one more round of breath here. As we exhale, slowly drawing the body upwards, maybe taking the hands onto the lower back for a moment, maybe taking the hips for a moment, just from side to side, before we come to seated. We're going to begin by taking that right hand behind the right hip, taking the left hand onto the outside of the right knee, but just never on the knee, taking a twist to the right side. Inhaling, lifting the top of the head to the ceiling. Exhaling to twist with the chest. Twists are really good for the spine as they work with lengthening it, as well as strengthening it at the same time and also helping with our digestion. With each exhale, seeing if we can twist with the chest rather than the head towards the back of the room. Taking a couple more breaths here. Gently unraveling the body, coming onto the opposite side. So this time taking that left hand behind the left hip, taking the right hand onto the outside of the right leg, never on the knee. Inhaling, lifting with the top of the head towards the ceiling. Exhaling to twist. Inhaling as we lift, lengthening the head. Exhaling to twist. Maybe feeling a few cricks. That's completely normal if we do so. And then gently unraveling the body back through center. Taking the right hand onto the right side of the body, by the side of the hip, reaching over the left arm, feeling a good stretch up the side body, maybe also into the back. Taking the gaze up to that middle finger, taking one more inhale here. As we exhale, drawing that hand onto the left side of the body, reaching up with the right fingertips, taking the gaze to the middle finger. With each inhale, seeing if we can reach further over with that right finger. And as we exhale, drawing that hand to the ground, doing a little bit of work on our neck, which can help release tension in the top of the back. Placing the right hand onto the outside of the left side of the face. Taking that left hand onto the left knee and just gently taking the gaze upwards, feeling a good stretch down this side of the neck. Only applying as much pressure as it feels like a release of tension, just never a pain. Taking a couple more deep breaths here. And then gently unraveling the head, maybe making a few movements from side to side before coming onto the opposite side. If so, taking that right hand onto the right leg, taking that left hand onto the outside of the right face, looking up with the gaze. Seeing if we can feel that tension, about a 7 out of 10. And then gently unraveling the body, taking the arms onto all fours once more, coming into our mini tricep press up as we lift the chest towards the ground, moving the body, sliding the body forward, taking a final back bend. So we're going to start off again, coming into that Sphinx pose just to check that the back's beginning to be warmed up again. taking one forearm to the ground, or maybe both, and then drawing one hand into the body at a time as we lift up with both hands around the feet, taking the gaze in front of us. And if this is too much for anybody, you can just simply lift the hands off the ground and lift the feet off the ground at the same time. If we're feeling quite steady here, lifting the chest up with each inhale, drawing the feet further up as well, taking a couple more deep breaths, enjoying our bow pose. And then on the next exhale, drawing the head to the ground, coming onto one side, whichever feels most comfortable. Maybe moving the hips from side to side for a moment. Drawing the hands back around the body, coming through all fours. For a final time in our child's pose today, but this time having the knees quite far apart. Drawing the arms forward. Maybe turning the sides of the feet outwards. It can be quite an intense stretch also in the groin. Maybe drawing the forehead to the ground, maybe the chest. Taking a couple of deep breaths here. Coming back to seated or whatever position feels natural and good for you right now. I hope that your back feels a little bit more stretched than when we started. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.